Excited for today to welcome our fans out to training camp. Looking forward to getting a good, energized crowd. And we talk a lot about, from a lot of our own personal experiences growing up, how important it is to get some of the young folks out here and up close and personal to some of their favorite NFL players and what that means. And we hope to be able to put on a great training camp for our fans. See a lot of those folks out here. Very much looking forward to that energy every day. Appreciate, obviously was not here yesterday. Small group of us had a very somber day down in Maryland attending the Khyree Jackson funeral. Just felt it was very important for the group of us that were there, to have a presence and get a chance to, personally spend some time with Kyree's family. And I was fortunate enough to be able to say a few words as well. So important. Nothing changes the fact about the tragedy that it was, and just obviously hits home even more so than it already has, as some of us are still working through that process of dealing with losing such a special young player that we're obviously very excited about. But we'll look forward to welcoming his family up here in the near future, and very excited about that. Turn it over to you guys. Yep. Yeah, he's dealing with a left leg, soft tissue. We're kind of monitoring him and making sure, whether he's day-to-day or it might be a week or so. This early in camp, kind of happened on a ball down the field, straining to compete. We'll get him back, get him with Tyler in the group, and hopefully we can get him back sooner rather than later. But I'll keep you guys posted on his timeline to return. Yeah, I think those, especially some of those guys that have some experience now, either 1 year in Flo's system or just a couple years here being, in our program of, here in Minnesota. I'm looking for those guys just to continuously show some improvement and comfort, use some of the experience that those guys have gotten in some pretty big-time moments over the last couple years, and just have confidence to show up every day with a plan to focus on some things to get better. And then when we get out on the practice field, let it loose, turn it loose, and there'll always be some things we can improve on, some learning moments. I talk to our guys a lot offensively about shooting your shot. It's the same thing on defense. Go try to make a play, whether you're covering Justin Jefferson or it's a 2-minute situation, third down. That's why we try to add the competition to it where we can. Very excited for next week as we transition into pads, because it's been a physical start. Even though we've just been in helmets and we'll be in some shells today, I compliment our guys on the energy, the get off up front on both sides, and really across the board. We've just got to see the depth that we do have right now when it's being tested in some certain spots. Guys got to step up, and we'll continue to assess what that position and others kind of look like as we, see what maybe something transactionally we would do to make our football team better and give us the best chance to win. I think everything's just kind of conversations, really healthy dialogue about potential players on our roster, maybe where their roles were if we were all healthy and had everybody out there every day. Well, maybe does that possibly alter? Maybe get some guys reps at other spots or different personnel groupings. You guys know Flo's got 1,000 of them, so just working through that, and then as you kind of get some clarity from that standpoint, do we need to potentially add to that room? And just knowing the type of camp I want to have, just from a calendar of work standpoint, I do think we're probably going to need to add at that position, just surely to make sure that we've got enough of a head count in that room to handle the rep load. But at the same time, could be some impact players out there that might be interested in joining our team, and that's what Kwesi and his staff are working through right now. It was just one of those things that, once we kind of finalized our plans to be there and the family knew that we were going to be there, the request was made, and it was quite honestly an honor, with that many family and folks that Khyree, and Isaiah Hazel impacted, with it being a joint funeral of two, best friends, and incredibly sad day and somber, like I said, but I did feel we talk a lot about personal responsibility. I mean, that's my first time doing something like that, and you guys know how I felt personally about Khyree. and just in my short time here, what he proved to me, who he is as a person, and obviously what had already become who had already become a great teammate. So easy to share messages and thoughts that you truly do feel and believe, but it didn't help make it any easier in that setting. So I just hope I did Khyree justice, and really our whole team that didn't make the trip. I felt like it was really important we represented everyone and the Minnesota Vikings the way that we like to, where we think the standards of how we treat our players, their families, no greater moment than that to go do that. Say that again throughout the. Yeah, it's really, out of respect for them, we're, really, probably give them some options and just make sure that when that time comes, we've got some great folks here that can plan a really special celebration of life for our team and our locker room to be able to truly experience that and, just make sure that the Jackson family knows just how critical and how special Khyree was to us. Yeah, Judd, I'd be surprised if you don't see a lot of balls put in play in the preseason, just as we try to figure out exactly what the play looks like at this level. We're going to be practicing the play. We've got to figure out ways to give our guys. It might not always entail full whistle to whistle, live settings, but as far as what things look like from a fit standpoint. Coverage-wise, or what type of angles or leverages are we seeing, and how are our returners seeing it? Because it's great to, like anything in football that has stood the test of time, it's had to be something that went way, way beyond just a coach's mind or a chalkboard. It's got to be the players owning it, and for pretty much everybody on our roster, this is going to be a new phase, or at least a new style of the phase of the kickoff and kickoff return unit. So I'm excited to see what Matt Daniels and Dowman kind of have in store, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot about the things that are different about this play and how tactically and schematically we want to handle it early on in the season, or maybe differently throughout the season. I'm excited about it. I don't. It always does, and I think just with how we're talking, in the team settings and kind of what we want our team to be about from a football philosophy and play style standpoint, I wouldn't expect anything less than the energy to rise up, just because the pads are on and the guys get the full chance to, at least, for the most part, and maybe not all the way to the ground. We're expecting a pretty physical practice on Monday, and going to try to stack some padded days as we move through the early part of camp. And we get very fortunate to get to go to Cleveland and have 2 padded days in a row. So we're going to get some real opportunity for guys to not only do it one day, but come back and be consistent, maybe have great sequences of camp from a physicality and kind of, obviously it all starts with knowing what to do and being able to be where you need to be when you need to be there. And then once that happens, it's hopefully the natural instincts of the guys we've brought here or the guys that have been on our team take over, and we start to see that on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game. Yeah, and look, Jalen has done everything we've asked of him, and that really has not changed since we drafted him, Alec. It's, some things happen that are unfortunate sometimes, and adversity, hits guys, and, we certainly don't get to have any say in the matter, and all Jalen's trying to do is make sure, what am I doing pre-practice? What am I doing post-practice? What am I doing throughout practice to make sure I can handle the workload? Because he's going to be obviously doing a little bit more offensively, but he's been very good in the kicking game as well. And what's that balance look like for him as he's in year 3 now, and maybe hasn't been able to show all of the consistency what Jalen expects of himself. But when he has been out there, he's made plays consistently. And you guys being here every day at the practice field have seen it as well. So I think we're all kind of very optimistic about Jalen, because he's proven what he is as a football player. It's not a question of that. It's just a matter of, can he be out there? Can he start to handle the versatility that comes with playing in a huddle with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and that goes for BP and Trent and all the rest of our guys as well. Yeah, and we always have, Mark. It's just a matter of, like, what are you emphasizing every day in my role, and then what am I emphasizing to the coaches? How are we handling our evaluation process of our roster? Just making sure, like I've talked about with that play style term, that allows us to really have an all-encompassing term per position, that physicality and the ability to consistently strain and finish and all the things that show up with really, really good football players across the league and coincides with really good teams. We just have to enforce it. And I told you guys at the end of last season, there's a lot of things that I need to do better. And one of the things that I want to really focus on is how do we always have a mindset on sports performance and making sure our team is fresh and ready to go, but at the same time really capitalize on these days of training camp for what it was meant for, which is to kind of put an armor on your team from a physicality standpoint of what we can be really good at schematically, where not only the mentality ties in with the X's and O's of it. I hope that makes sense, but it's always something you emphasize, but is it truly part of what you're living and breathing? Just like last year, we emphasized, the living you-know-what out of turnovers, and we've now got to find a way to actively pursue improvement in areas that we've determined. Yeah, I see it as, he's already gotten some reps. You guys have probably noticed on the right side. I see him, continuing to really push Blake and Ed. And really, the best thing for us with how these last 2 years have transpired is to not feel like you're a snap away from altering, your scheme or your play style or things like that. And I think with the depth we have, inside, and then knowing we've got Dan and the Rook in there as well, they can have some center flex, have some guard flex. That gives us some real possibilities to hopefully sustain the, whatever adversity may be out in front, but at the same time have a heck of a competition and make sure guys understand every day I need to be progressing forward in my craft. That does not mean we're chasing perfection. We're chasing progress. And I know JJ did his best to attempt to reflect some of my words. Not exactly how I said it, but I want to give the young fella credit for doing so.
Last two.
The exact way I said it is progress is the process. Progress is the process. If it was the process is progress, that sounds awfully like results over process to me. But the point of it being, Kevin, is there's no tangible scoreboard on the wall for me to be able to show the team every single night at training camp when we meet, hey, this is how much better we got today, or this is how much better we did not get today. It's just a matter of individually, collectively per the sides of the ball, and then as our team continues to shape itself through the competition of everybody trying to do that, from meeting room time to how they're handling their pre-practice and post-practice routines, and really locking in on what this starts with Justin Jefferson and goes down to every single guy on our roster, where they can hopefully wake up with a plan and some urgency every single day and attack it.
Last one.
I just think you're seeing so many interior rushers in this league that when there's tools that you have in a lot of ways to help on the edges. Sometimes you can hone in on certain aspects of how teams are going to try to attack you, but in the one-on-one setting, and we got a guy here on the defensive side that knows exactly how to articulate to his defense how they're going to get those, no matter what we want to try to do from a scheme standpoint. We've got some ways of counterbalancing that a little bit, but when you can block them with those guys and get 5 eligibles out in the pattern and feel like you can truly attack 53 1/3 width and obviously vertically down the field as well, it's proven to be a winning edge for us when we've been able to do that in games. And anytime you can't do that, you're still trying to be aggressive as a play caller, but you can find yourself in some not so friendly D&Ds that lead into the 3rd and longs, and you're trying to overcome much more than just what started out as 1st and 10 with the whole playbook at your disposal.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.